there, very happy Thursday to you. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz, and we want to thank you for joining us on today's Weather Out West, September 18th. And we're only a couple of days until the official start of fall. Can you believe it? Well, we are tracking the weather across our western regions, 8 regions. This is for California, Arizona, the Pacific Northwest, as well as the interior Northwest, as well as Colorado. And we've had some active weather in, say, Colorado the last couple of days, but our friends in Phoenix are actually gearing up for some shower chances and maybe even some heavy rain. This is all thanks to what's left of the tropical system Mario in the Pacific. Today, we're going to check in with Ginger Jeffries with much more.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries. A look at your weather out west across Arizona, where we have monsoon moisture poised to move in and across the state. Now, all the forecast models are all over the place right now. I mean, these storms are very unstable. I call them the divas of all weather patterns because they're unstable, unpredictable, and yet extremely powerful. So best bet is just be ready for pop-up showers starting today and then starting to ramp up tomorrow. Now, because of the showers and the cloud cover, our temperatures are actually coming down. In fact, look across the state. Oh, don't you love it? No triple digits on the board. Instead, we're going for about 92 today in Arizona. Rain for Parker as high as hit 91, 93 in Tucson. I've got 78 in Show Low, 75 in Flagstaff, 82 for Sedona, and overhead in Phoenix, 98 degrees. Normal for us this time of the year is right at 100 degrees. So we're tucked just below the century mark, but it's such a mental thing for so many of us who live and, get through our extreme summers. As soon as those temperatures come down under 100 degrees, it is cause for celebration. So we are also really anxiously awaiting some more moisture. Look at this monsoon meter. We have 5s and 6s. This is tropical moisture, so it's coming up from the south. Outflow, certainly potential, going to hit the valley. We've got a 4 on the board. So the valley is looking for more action than even the higher elevations. What exactly does a 4 mean? 50% coverage, 50% chance of some showers. That means we could see some large hail, strong winds, nothing over about 60 miles an hour, and of course a dust storm potential today because of that outflow, and simply because we can get these very sudden, quick downbursts of energy, we could get some flooding in some isolated areas. So as I map you through the day, you can see what's basically developing. We've got a lot of cloud cover, and again, all this is coming up from the south. A lot I'm seeing on the west side today. Focus for the heavier rainfall, that's the darker banding, looks to be on the west side through today, and then it starts to weaken overnight. But look at this, tomorrow early morning, that looks like a rainmaker, at least measurable rainfall. We're going to see this push through until about, I'd say, 10 o'clock, and then again, more just waves and pockets of scattered showers through Friday. Looks like it's going to be done by Saturday. So as far as the rain goes, today, minimal for high desert, maximum for tomorrow. So 20 to 60% chance by Friday. For us, we've got a 30% chance today, 40% tomorrow, and then things start to dry out, which also means we're going to begin warming up. I mentioned the forecast models are all over the place. Some of us have about 1/10 of an inch of rain. That's what we're looking for as far as accumulation. However, this model shows over a 1/2 inch of rain. And again, a lot of the focus on the west side of the valley as opposed to the east side. So again, just be ready. We need some rain. We are behind as far as our rain totals. This time of the year, we should be over 2 inches for our monsoon season. And right now, we haven't even picked up an inch of rain. So very hopeful that the pockets of rain will give us some actual measurable rainfall at Sky Harbor. Otherwise, temperatures are going to be at about 98 degrees. Your day maps out like this. Remember, no triple digits on the board. We're staying in the 80s before the noon hour, but we're looking to peak at about 98 at 4 o'clock, and also that's when those storms are rolling in. So next 7 days, here we go. Temperatures are on the mild side through the weekend, and then, oh boy, high pressure returns next week. Temperatures are going to respond. Look at this. We're going from 98 to 97, back into the triple digits by Saturday, and headed for above normal heat. I'm talking about 105 to 106 next week.
And after a very active stretch of weather in Colorado, as I mentioned, the weather there is on cruise control, at least for now. Denver's Kathy Sabin has the forecast details for the last couple of days of summer, and Katie LaSalle has the fall weather outlook.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. We're getting closer and closer to the weekend and closer to fall. The leaves are changing in the Colorado high country. This picture coming in from Larry Pierce up near the Rabbit Ears Pass area, which is near Steamboat. And so certainly the leaves are starting to change and peak earlier than we're accustomed to, but we've had kind of an interesting 48 hours of weather. Typically, we don't see a lot of severe weather in Colorado in September. It's one of our drier, calmer months, but this upper level low has brought 2-inch diameter hail, a land spout south of Burlington, heavy flooding rainfall, 500 lightning strikes over 15 miles outside of Denver 24 hours ago. And there's still severe weather that we're looking at through part of the day today. So a really interesting pattern that's about to shift yet again. The heaviest showers are going to move into the Midwest, Central Plains, and Southern Plains states later today. And the threat for severe weather much lower now as that system begins to pull away. But on Futurecast, we'll start off with a little bit of cloud cover and cool temperatures. Yesterday and today, temperatures starting off in the 40s for some areas with a light dusting of snow over some of the higher peaks. But then ridging will allow for a warming and drying trend with just a few high clouds to come in, and that will get us into the low 70s, and then we're into the 80s for the end of the week and the last full week of summer. So we'll start cool this morning and then warm to the low and mid 70s with lots of sunshine this afternoon. 72 today, really not much chance for rain in Denver. 80 on Friday, low to mid 80s for Saturday, Sunday, and then the autumnal equinox. We say hello to fall in Colorado with sunshine and 81 degrees, low to mid 80s for the first few days of the first week of the new season. And this is the month we typically see snow in Denver, or we can, and no snow in the extended forecast, at least not yet.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. We are counting down the days to fall. Officially, 4 days from now, the fall equinox occurs at 12:19 officially on Monday, September 22nd. But it's really feeling like the changing of the seasons out there currently. It's been a frosty morning up over Rocky Mountain National Park. Overall, our temperatures will be slightly below average for this time of the year for the Denver area. Low 70s expected, but we are still bracing for some warmer air set to roll in with our next ridge of high pressure building. Not looking at any more 90-degree plus readings, at least for the Denver area as we go through the rest of the month of September, but we did see some cool conditions, and 80s are on our 7-day forecast. We hit 44 officially out at the airport this morning in Denver, the record 23 set back in 1971. Today, slightly below our average high, at least for Denver, at 79, which is what we typically see on September 18th. The record that was 93 set back in 2021. Today, it's going to be low 70s, but as you can see, our forecasted highs for Friday will be back to the 80s for the Front Range and Eastern Plains, but really comfortable conditions in the high country, and we are already starting to see the leaves pop in spots, especially over our northern mountains. We're not at peak season just yet, but I know a lot of people heading to and from the high country, especially over the weekend. So just getting you prepared for this beautiful time of year here in Colorado. We like to call it leaf peeping. Go out, take photos, just some essentials to get you prepared. Waterproof windbreaker. You know, the weather will change. Saturday and Sunday, we'll see the chance for a few storms and showers. Hiking shoes, boots, just something with some good traction, especially if you're out there on the trails. Stay hydrated, sunscreen, water bottle. UV index will stay very high this weekend, so burn time can occur on exposed skin in as little as 15 to 30 minutes. Sunglasses, camera, phone will do just fine. And when you do get those photos, send them over to us. We love to see them here on 9 News, and we'll also try and share them on our social and also on air.
Coming up after a quick break, we're headed to California, northern, central, and southern California. We'll be dealing with some more rain over the next couple of days. We'll have those details. Welcome back to Weather Out West on this Thursday. So our weather teams in Sacramento and San Diego are tracking the remnants of Tropical System Mario. So first, let's start up north in Sacramento, where Monica Woods has the details on what to expect over the northern and central portion of the state.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods, tracking the active weather in California with our weather impact alert. We're looking at tropical moisture, California summer storms, and also the flood risk. Now, for our regional headlines, that rain is impacting the coast. We're also looking at the potential for thunderstorms in the valley, the foothills, and the Sierra, with again a flood risk that will continue to expand throughout parts of Northern California. It starts off in the central part of the valley, the foothills, and even along the coast for Thursday, and then that will migrate its way northward throughout the day on Friday. So most of the northern and central part of the state will be dealing with the impacts of that tropical moisture, thus the weather impact alert in place for Thursday and Friday. The impact being showers and thunderstorms due to the tropical moisture. Need to stay weather aware for the rapidly changing conditions, even the risk of some mudslides and debris flows because of some burn scars, particularly in the central Sierra. All right, let's take a look at the timeline here. As the moisture continues to stream its way northward, we'll see most of the rain along the coast initially, but then this will start to expand with a few isolated thunderstorms in the San Joaquin Valley, and then overnight Thursday into Friday, that moves through the capital region and central California, finally making its way northward. But the moisture's not quite done yet. We'll get roughly about 1/10 of an inch or so of rain, mostly through the Sacramento region, but a little bit more off to the foothills. We're calling for about 1/2 inch of rain. That's enough to really potentially bring some flood concerns, especially near the Yosemite area. Okay, again, the moisture is moving our way. It moves into Northern California, but then it's still somewhat lingering off the coast. Another low starts to form. It taps into more tropical moisture and moves our way for next week. What a wild start to fall we'll have. Highs will be in the 70s for our Thursday forecast, knocking off some of that heat we've been dealing with. 80s to near 90 for much of the foothills, and again, a better risk of some flooding concerns through the central Sierra starting Thursday, lasting through Friday. Highs will be in the 60s and 70s for the higher elevations. We're down into the 80s for the valley after hitting highs in the 100s as we've headed towards much of this work week. Thursday's highs along the central coast are going to be in the 60s. Lots of rain that's been pretty much moving in since Wednesday evening. That will continue to be part of the forecast into our Thursday. For the Bay Area, highs are going to cool somewhat into the 60s. We'll see more cooling take place in the coastal valley communities into the 80s. And again, rain a little bit slow to get going here, but it will eventually move in by Friday. Dry for much of our Thursday for the extreme northern part of the state. Along the northwest coast, we've got highs in the 60s, 90s inland, and we'll be watching for those showers actually lingering into Saturday from parts of the northeast side of the state. Thursday's highs, again, down by about 10 degrees from where we were on Wednesday. For much of the Central Valley, we'll be hitting highs in the mid to upper 80s. Also of note, we've had some high dew points. It's feeling a bit sticky out there. Tropical moisture, some warm offshore waters, so those lows only falling into the 60s to near 70. Weather impact alert in place Thursday and Friday. Most of this is going to be late day Thursday with the showers really starting to develop. Highs will be cooling into the low 80s by the time we get to Friday. A rather warm start though, with lows in the mid 60s and that chance of mainly overnight and early thunderstorms Thursday into early Friday, and then some lingering showers into the afternoon. We're dry for this last weekend of summer. The autumnal equinox on Monday. Highs are going to be in the mid 90s with sunny skies, but here comes that next batch of moisture on Tuesday into early Wednesday with another cooling impact from that moisture, and the clouds will be down into the 80s for the first couple of days of fall.
Now let's take you down to San Diego, where Vanessa Paz is tracking the threat for heavy rain and flooding in the mountains and deserts in Southern California.
Well, happy Thursday or Friday Eve, as some people like to call it, from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. Here's what it looked like. I mean, a nice view over our Mission Bay camera facing towards Fiesta Island. And it's a very stark contrast in comparison to what we saw yesterday afternoon. We had a storm move in. It brought some beneficial rain. And it looks like, for the most part, our most populated neighborhoods and stretches of freeways are going to be drying out as we progress through our Thursday afternoon. So it was a quick moving storm to say the least. That's not to say we're all in the clear. Some areas of the region are going to continue to see activity, and I'll showcase that in just a moment. I do want to highlight some of the totals that National Weather Service recorded on their database. It looks like we had some nice numbers rolling in from last night's storm, including Palomar Mountain. Now, this was data from overnight, and this was recorded at around 8 o'clock a.m. our time on Thursday. Palomar Mountain got close to about 1.5 inches. We got close to 6/10 or so in Fashion Valley, over that in Escondido, and we got over 1/4 in Chula Vista, just shy of a 1/4 out in Oceanside, where we got about 23/100 or so. Unfortunately, it didn't really do much for our water year. We're still in a major deficit, and in case you don't know, the water year, it starts October 1st, lasts all the way through the end of September. So we're wrapping up our water year, which started October 1st of last year. And as we enter a new round, we're looking at a major deficit. So we should have typically seen about 10 inches of rain near that for this time of year. And so far, we've only seen about 4 inches and 8/10 or so. And that puts us at about a halfway deficit. Last year, though, when we talk about the water year numbers from 2023 to 24, we got a lot of rain, all due to the flooding, the flooded rain that we saw in January of 2024. All right, taking a look at a rain and cloud forecast, we are looking at the chance for more moisture to move in, especially for the county's eastern half. We have the chance for pop-up thunderstorms, which could produce hail, periods of gusty winds, as well as downpours, and even the potential for flash flooding, which is why National Weather Service still has a flood watch impacting the mountains and deserts all the way through early Friday. As far as rainfall estimates, we're not really going to accumulate much for the coast and inland valleys. Peak activity we saw overnight, but we could get an additional 0.2 of an inch or so for spots like Julian as well as Mount Laguna, and we could see about 1/2 inch or so in Borrego Springs. Those numbers could very well fluctuate as well if we do see any thunderstorm activity. All right, speaking of thunderstorms, here are the areas that are under a flood watch. This could get upgraded at any time depending on how severe some of those cells are. The flood watch impacting those areas all the way through 2 a.m. on Friday, with the threat for downpours, strong winds, and flooding, as I mentioned. So here's what you need to know as we get your Thursday going. We'll see a mix of sun and clouds today, with a chance for scattered showers, pop-up thunderstorms in the mountain areas. Overall, a muggy day on tap. And as we look ahead to fall equinox, which starts around 11 a.m. on Monday, we're looking at it feeling more like summer than fall. Taking a look at high temperatures for this afternoon, we're talking mid to high 80s for the inland valleys, high 70s, low 80s for the coastal areas. Here's a quick look at what you can expect over the next 7 days along the coastal spots. We'll be in the high 70s. Not too much change. In fact, looking ahead to the middle of next week, we have a secondary system that could bring another chance for showers come Sunday and Monday, but right now the timing and the track of that system is pretty uncertain. Not all models are in agreement of when it will arrive and if it will have a huge impact for us here in San Diego. The inland valleys look to see highs in the mid to high 80s all the way through Saturday, shooting down a few degrees on Sunday, and then rising right back up in time for autumn. And here's a quick look at the 7-day forecast for the mountains and deserts.
Coming up next after the break, we have much more, but we'll start with your forecast for Arizona and Colorado. Welcome back and happy Thursday. We're actually going to head to Boise first, and just the interior Northwest instead of Phoenix and Denver, since we already checked in with there. But the summer heat is hanging on by a thread in Idaho, believe it or not. But that's not going to be the case for very long, even if it's just for a day. Slightly cooler temperatures are expected just in time for the start of fall. Boise's Hector Mendoza has the details in today's forecast.
Hi there, I'm Tyson White from KTVB, and we start off this Weather Out West forecast with our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page, some contributions from Bee Glass and some of her goats that are munching on some berries and leaves up here in Idaho City. And you can already see those leaves turning colors there, so really a sign of the season as fall gets started on Monday, maybe just a little bit early there in Idaho City. Is just a beautiful backdrop with some of those classic goats out there. Thanks, Bee, for sharing that. And you can share yours to Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. You might see them right here and on our newscast as well. Taking a look at what we saw yesterday for daytime highs, 85 degrees what we got up to here in the City of Trees. Mid-80s for much of the Treasure Valley out there as well. And then the upper 70s for the Magic Valley, and really comfortable in the low to mid 70s here in the mountain locations. We'll repeat this again today, maybe just a few degrees warmer as we kind of push through the afternoon out there. Here's what's making those temperatures stay right in that mid-80s section across southern Idaho. This high pressure system parked over northern California is funneling up some of that heat into southern Idaho as well as the northwest. This afternoon it's going to start funneling up some clouds as we push into the future cast here. This will play it out for us. Now these clouds for today not showing a great chance of showers here in southern Idaho. However, northern California, eastern or western Oregon that is, and along that northern Nevada border could see a chance of a scattered shower, very light if anything. As we push this through Friday and into Saturday as well, we do see a few scattered showers possible into the Magic Valley area, southern portions of Twin Falls County along that border of Utah and Nevada, along Idaho there. That continues all the way through Saturday into Friday and Saturday morning, maybe even a chance of a rumble of thunder along the border. However, we're not expecting that to move any further north of the Snake River Plain. So pay attention to that. That cloud cover could be bringing us some scattered showers, or excuse me, some scattered smoke out there. So be aware of that. Good news is today we're in the good air quality category. Redfish Lake visitor camera here, just looking beautiful. You can see some of the fog, some of those low clouds burning off of the lake there, warm lake there. Just a beautiful shot. One of my favorite cameras here in Northwest. And then as we head off into the Boise area, a little bit of haziness out here. Again, that haze is kind of higher up in the atmosphere, not affecting things here on the surface level. Again, that air quality in the good category so far today here on Thursday. And as we take a look up at one of my other favorite shots here, Highway 55 at Smiths Ferry. You can't really see it, but Cougar Mountain Lodge there is in the background, but a little foggy here as some of the folks are getting busy as they're headed up into McCall, Cascade area, back down to Horseshoe Bend. Really kind of an ominous picture, but really just kind of the beauty of Idaho's backwoods. Taking a look at the May Marina camera, the time-lapse camera this morning, showing that beautiful sunrise as we push through the morning into the midday out here. Just a lot of sunshine, setting up a really beautiful day for mountain locations out there. Here in the Treasure Valley, your day planner, by the noon hour, 75 degrees, and then we see those clouds increasing by the mid-afternoon. Temperatures, though, up to the 86 degrees. That's about 8 degrees above average for this time of year here in the Treasure Valley. Magic Valley for the same thing, 62 degrees by 10 o'clock, up into the low 80s for this afternoon. Clouds increasing into this evening. They stick around through this weekend. Taking a look at what we can expect here in the Magic Valley, mid-80s for many locations, plenty of sunshine till about later on this afternoon. Same thing goes for the Central Mountain location, 75, beautiful for Sun Valley out there. Stanley, the warm spot, 77 degrees here. Long Valley looking pretty decent as well, 78 degrees in McCall, on Donley as well, 74 down in McCascade. So great day if you got the chance to go hit the mountains. Riggins going to be the warm spot, up to 92 degrees out there. Western edge of the Treasure Valley, mid to upper 80s for most locations. Plenty of sunshine until this afternoon. Those clouds start building in there. Again, we could see that hazy skies throughout the rest of the afternoon. Again, not affecting air quality so far today. Mid 80s for the Boise area as well. Idaho City up to 84 degrees. 7-day forecast showing that heat continuing through Saturday. The clouds increasing as well through Saturday. Then Sunday, a cool front pushes through, bringing us a chance of a scattered shower or rumble of thunder or two in the central mountain locations. Clearing all that out, though, bringing us some cooler temperatures into Monday. Really a great start to the fall season here in southwest Idaho. And then we warm up a little bit into the early portions of the middle of next week.
Thank you, Tyson. Summer weather lovers, soak it in because changes are headed to Washington over the weekend. And like our friends in Idaho, it's just in time for the start of autumn on Monday. Spokane's Thomas Patrick has the latest.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington, and what another stunning, beautiful summer day we have ahead of us as we first take you to Lake Coeur d'Alene, and look at how blue these skies are. I mean, I have not adjusted the color on this image. It is just quite literally that blue overhead, and the water's matching it perfectly as well. I will say it's because it's less hazy outside as well. Haven't seen the skies quite that crystal blue outside in a while because that wildfire smoke had been making things just a little bit more gray recently. But the summertime heat is still here for almost the rest of the summer season here. Sunday might be the one day where it finally changes or we get some kind of weather pattern mix up. Otherwise, in the meantime, it's all about the sunny and blue skies overhead and the summer heat with us as well. The forecast is 85 degrees in Spokane, which is a nice 12 degrees above average. I should also mention that the average low of 48 sounds chilly, but here's the thing. We've only been in the 40s once so far this late summer, and it was still at 49 degrees. So we've not even been at that mark or colder for our average low temperature yet for mid-September. That is how warm it's been. By the way, it has been a record warm start to September, at least for the first half of the month in Spokane, and honestly not even close either. And it's because of days like this. Not just the 90s from the very first days of the month, but the consistent 80s day after day after day just seems like it won't quit. 85 degrees will be the forecasted high today in Spokane, and still 86 in Coeur d'Alene. And guess what? More summer heat ahead as well. So when we look at those consistently warm temperatures, again, it is because of this. Another day at 85 tomorrow, another day in the mid 80s on Saturday, and then we'll get to a slightly cooler but more average day on Sunday, which is the last day of summer, and of course the first day of fall on Monday. So because nothing has changed weather-wise across the entirety of the Pacific Northwest, I haven't changed the forecast whatsoever. That's why we're consistently in the mid 80s. It's Sunday when things will finally change, thanks to this storm system that's brewing over the North Pacific. So as it moves into British Columbia and Alberta, it has the same positioning and trajectory as what a windstorm would take. However, it's nowhere even close to a true windstorm strength. But it's because of that pattern, we will get a kind of windy, breezy day, but at just a much greater lower level and lower impact. So a breezy day for the inland Northwest on Sunday, and the rain chances are still a maybe. It's kind of a 20 to 30% chance, scattered showers at best. So that's the impact of this cold front. It's kind of a weak cold front, but not a nothing thing. Temperatures will slide down by about 10 degrees. We'll get a windy day with a few scattered showers. That for Sunday. Obviously, big day for Washington State on Saturday. It is the Apple Cup in Pullman, and it's going to be one of the warmest Apple Cups, because think about it, because this isn't a conference game anymore. It's now much earlier in the football season. So very warm, 83 degrees. Definitely going to be hot if you're sitting on the sunny side of Martin Stadium, and temperatures will still be in the mid 70s as the sun goes down later in the evening. Then we'll take you to Sunday. It's the Boulevard race in Spokane. This is our slightly cooler day. Again, a little bit windy with a small chance of rain, so make sure you're geared up for that. But if we are able to dodge the rain showers in the morning hours, should be actually quite pleasant for the runners running the 4-mile course near Gonzaga. So that for Sunday, again, one of our cooler days thanks to the cold front passing through. Definitely will be the windiest day, and so far has the only chance for any rain anytime soon. First day of fall is going to be on Monday with a temperature of 73 degrees.
Coming up next after the break, we're going to stay in the Northwest, but we're headed west of the Cascade Mountains to Seattle and to Portland. Plus,
the goal was to not touch it as much as possible and let the natural system come back to the maximum extent possible.
over 45 years after the Mount St. Helens landscape was destroyed, the ecosystem is still bouncing back. We'll show you how the area has rebounded and what has yet to recover. Welcome back to Weather Out West. 70 on Monday, it was 91 on Tuesday, and 78 on Wednesday in Seattle. What will the last few days of summer look like in Seattle? Well, Rich Marriott tells us in today's forecast.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Rich Marriott. We cooled back after that record-tying heat that we saw on Tuesday afternoon. Yesterday out at the airport, we hit 78 degrees, so 13 degrees cooler. That's a vast improvement over that 91 that we had on Tuesday. And we're going to continue to see even a little bit more cooling today. But overall, we have some pretty nice weather headed our way to into summer here in the next few days. Checking the highs elsewhere yesterday, mostly in the low to mid 70s, really, until you get down to the extreme South Sound. We saw a few places get up into the low 80s, but it's overall a pretty nice day. It was kind of like midsummer. We're going to be more like late summer as we head towards this afternoon. Looking out this morning, we have had a lot of clouds around this morning. Some of those clouds actually have some wildfire smoke in them. Fortunately, that's up off the ground. It's giving us a little bit of color to the sunrise and some darker looks to some of the clouds around the area. But the main effect is visual. We're not seeing it affect the air quality at around sea level, which stays good, it looks like, through the day today and tomorrow. Looking out from Everett's Paint playing field. You can see skies are clearing out. That one band that was sitting over the Olympics yesterday is kind of moving off to the east right now, and you can kind of see the edge of it as it moves on out. And looking out from Tacoma, you can see a sunny morning out there, a little bit of light haze. Some of that's just your regular morning haze. And out along the coast, well, when watching the camera out there, it just occasionally it's having problems with its focus, but you see the point is that we have the marine deck sitting out there, and that's going to burn off. They'll see a little bit of sunshine out there along the coastal beaches today with highs in the low to mid 60s. Just 4 days until the official arrival of fall on Monday, and overall we're going to kind of split it, a couple days of sunshine, and we might see some rain to wrap up that last weekend of summer. You can see in the 70s the next couple of days, and that rain moves in later on Saturday, probably later Saturday evening, and it pretty much wraps up Sunday. And then we start fall on Monday, and through the first half of next week we're looking at some sunshine and some mild temperatures. Checking the forecast for the Apple Cup on Saturday. It starts at 4:30 over there in Pullman, and it's getting used to the fact that it's much earlier in the season. It's going to be probably in the low 80s of that kickoff at 4:30. At halftime, probably into the mid 70s, and then it does cool pretty quickly after dark. So by the end of the game, should be dropping back down into the low 60s, it looks like. But overall, pretty nice, especially compared to some of the snowy Apple Cups that have happened in the past when it was taking place in November. This is a shot from Tuesday afternoon. This is when that Bear Gulch wildfire really exploded during the afternoon, produced a lot of flames and a lot of smoke that went up across the Strait of Juan de Fuca. If we take a look at it yesterday, you can see it was still kind of hanging in there. We saw the effects of that yesterday when we looked at Port Andrews. You could see this dark cloud sitting right over them. That has kind of moved on, but yesterday evening as the sun was setting, this is from Seattle looking west out towards the Olympic Peninsula, as the sun dropped through that smoke band, gave us a red glow to the sun as it set yesterday evening. It was kind of pretty, but also kind of sad to see that much wildfire smoke out there. We checked the wildfire smoke models, and this is above about 5,000 to 6,000 feet. You see a lot of smoke up there, but this is again up off the ground. What was over the Olympics kind of moves off the east, and then we start to get some more smoke coming down out of British Columbia to keep that smoke out there, but just affecting, once again, the visuals, not really affecting air quality at the surface. In fact, we checked that. You can see we're expecting good air quality pretty much for everywhere in Western Washington today, and looking for about the same for tomorrow. So that's the good side of it. So overall for today, we're going to be looking for mostly sunny skies. Temperatures today pretty close to normal, upper 60s and low to mid 70s. Tomorrow we're going to warm just a little bit with temperatures getting into the mid to maybe a few upper 70s. We'll start with some sun on Saturday, then we'll see the clouds roll in the afternoon. Chance of rain moving in. Right now it looks like it'll probably move into Puget Sound most spots by about 8 to 9 o'clock. Pretty wet overnight with some steady rain, but by the time you wake up on Sunday morning, should just be a few off and on showers. Those should decrease with clearing in the afternoon. The exception to that is going to be in the convergence zone area, Seattle northward, where you may continue to see some showers into the afternoon on Sunday. Should be gone by Monday morning, though, for the arrival of fall on Monday. Temperatures right around 70 degrees in the two first full days of fall for Tuesday and Wednesday. Sunshine and temperatures in the low to mid 70s.
Now let's take you down to Oregon, where Portland's Chris McGinnis tells us when to expect showers over the weekend and what to expect on the first day of fall.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Chris McGinnis in for Rod Hill again today. We are waking up to some morning clouds. Those will be out of here. It'll be a breezy and pleasant afternoon. Sunny, warmer conditions return for Friday and Saturday. And then we're still looking forward to that 50-50 weekend. And since we're getting close for the weekend, the final weekend of summer, I thought it would help you plan that out a little bit around those rain chances. So first off, about the rain this weekend, it doesn't look like too big of a deal. And don't get too fixated on these numbers. It could kind of slide around a little bit north or south. But the point is, it appears that we'll see more rain to the north and a little less to the south. So that's what we're looking at, and on the order of maybe 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of rain for most of us in the Willamette Valley. Again, more to the north, less to the south. If you're spending the final weekend at the beach, good for you. Saturday's actually going to be dry. So the latest timing on our weather system has this thing not moving in until Saturday night. So the beach stays dry during the day. Overnight, that system sweeps in and it hits the I-5 corridor early Sunday morning. So this is our next chance of rain here. Widespread, generally light rain for most of us. And then as fast as it moves in, it should move on out of here, leaving us with at least the chance for some clearing as we go into Sunday afternoon. So that's why I was saying kind of a 50-50 weekend. All right, in the short term, today we're waking up to clouds. Check this out from our Wells Fargo sky camera. Off in the distance, the marine layer has thickened all the way into the Cascades. It's 60. Last check at PDX, the clouds extend all the way south into Salem, and in fact, even Corvallis and Eugene are cloudy this morning. You'll see that here on the visible satellite imagery. Now that we've got enough daylight, kind of geeking out here on the cloud formation, you really get a good idea for where the Cascades are and the elevations that are generally above 2,000 feet, loosely, well, actually very tightly following the outline of the clouds there. So socked in with the marine layer early this morning, but that will lift as we go through the day today, and we should see some sunshine. Timberline Lodge again showing the cloud deck down below 6,000 feet on Mount Hood. So we should clear that out. And in fact, we're already starting to poke some holes in the clouds at the beach where it's, I call it partly cloudy, I guess, right now at Lincoln City. So we're on our way to highs in the upper 60s, I think, in Astoria today, Pacific City, and lower 60s for Newport. It'll be sunny in the gorge most of the day, and it'll be pretty warm through the East Gorge from the Dalles out towards the Arlington area. Up and down the I-5 corridor, whatever you hit yesterday, subtract about 3 or 4 degrees, and that's what we're looking at for daytime highs today. So yesterday, Vancouver was in the 80s. Today, we shoot for about 77. Yesterday, Salem was in the 80s. Today, we shoot for about 79. I'm going to go back and show you that last graphic real quick. Futurecast does show the winds picking up again this afternoon, a lot like yesterday. So a cloudy start, but the clouds should start to erode sometime between about 11 and 1. We go from mostly cloudy to mostly sunny to completely sunny, and a little breezy as well, with northwest winds about 10 to 20 later today, kind of like yesterday, and daytime highs getting into the mid-70s here in Portland this afternoon. Okay, here's our 7-day forecast. Overnight lows tonight will be on the cool side in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, I don't think we have the morning clouds, and so tomorrow should wind up being significantly warmer. I've got us at 82 on Friday, which is a little above average for this time of the year. Right around 80 or so on Saturday. So the first half of your weekend looks great. The final weekend of summer. Saturday night and into Sunday, that is when that next chance of rain comes in. Once again, it's an overnight thing. Most of the rain falling while most of us are still asleep. So by Sunday morning, you'll look outside, it's dark, it's wet, but those showers should be wrapping up mid-morning. And I think we'll finish the day on Sunday with some sunshine and highs in the lower 70s. And then into next week we go. Monday, the first day of fall. Fall arrives at 11:19 in the morning, West Coast time. On Monday, we'll celebrate with highs in the 70s. The first full day of fall, Tuesday, looks warm with highs in the lower 80s.
Coming up after the break, we'll check out what's happening out east in today's national forecast. Above average temperatures, severe weather, and the tropics, at least the Atlantic Basin. Julie Martin is covering it all in today's national forecast.
Well, we are watching for some flooding in Southern California from the tropical system that has now become post-tropical and pulled away. Above average temperatures continuing in the Midwest and Mid-South, and then we have Tropical Storm Gabrielle way out in the Atlantic. Here are those temperatures for your Thursday. We'll see the 80s there in the upper Midwest from Minneapolis into Des Moines. Warmer as it's been for several days now in the Mid-South, 94 in St. Louis, 96 in Memphis, 94 in Little Rock. Comfortable around the Great Lakes, though. We've got 79 in Cleveland and 80 in Buffalo. Finally drying out here in the Mid-Atlantic. Norfolk, you're still staying on the cool side at 78. We've got the 80s throughout the deep south. And then on the opposite coast here, we've got those low to mid-70s in the Pacific Northwest, and then 78 in San Diego. Denver, you're going to be on the chillier side as well with 72. And then Friday looks like we will keep things kind of status quo here for those temperatures. Not going to see any big swings before the weekend. That temperature outlook looks like this, the 6 to 10 day outlook. Looks like we are going to be staying above average here across the country, at least a little bit through about the 1st of October. Mind you, the West Coast starts to back off on that toward the end of the month. This is that flood watch here stretching from central to Southern California. Watch out for any localized flooding there. And the severe weather threat here really confined here to places like Iowa, Missouri, in through Oklahoma. Hail, damaging winds, all the primary threats here. And then Friday, even a lower chance of just some scattered thunderstorms. Here's Gabrielle out in the Atlantic right now. As of the recent advisory, it's about 50-mile-per-hour storm moving to the west-northwest at 15 miles per hour. And right now, the models are still taking this and giving it a right-hand curve away from land by early next week. So we'll keep an eye on that. We're also keeping an eye on one other area back off of the coast of Africa, a really low chance of this one developing and causing any problems. Here are your temperatures in the west. We've got the 70s and 80s. Phoenix, you could see a few storms. 90s in Texas, 70s in Denver. New Orleans warming up to 93, and then in Buffalo, 80. Minneapolis, 81. DC, 84.
Coming up after the break, we brought you the stories of Mount St. Helens yesterday, and today we're looking at how the area once seemed beyond repair is now making a surprising comeback. It's now been a little over 45 years since Mount St. Helens in Washington erupted, sending ash, lava, mud, and debris flowing down the mountainside where 57 people were killed. To this day, I should say, it is still the deadliest volcanic eruption in U.S. history. And after all this time, scientists are still watching as part of the landscape rebounds. Seattle meteorologist Leah Pizzetti traveled to one of the hardest hit areas to see what still has room for growth.
Where I'm standing right now was flattened 45 years ago. You can see there's still some tree stumps right here, also some off in the distance beyond me. That's what remains now from the pre-eruption. But you can also see there's a lot of greenery around me. That's one of the things that researchers here at Mount St. Helens are so impressed with, is just how quickly this is coming back to life. The visuals from 1980 tell the story of destruction.
A massive mudslide.
57 lives lost and an entire ecosystem wiped out. When Mount St. Helens erupted, hot ash filled the sky and dumped on surrounding communities. A once dense forest was flattened. Nearly all plant and animal life ended.
The eruption itself was different than we would usually think about, where a volcano erupts up and out. This one erupted out the front of the volcano, and so the landscape right in front of the volcano was dramatically impacted by that eruption.
The eruption turned what was once flat landscape to these hills made up of volcanic debris called hummocks that still stand today. Between them, 150 new ponds formed, mini ecosystems that would eventually support new life. In the days and weeks following the eruption, scientists realized that under the blanket of ash, some creatures shockingly survived, like gophers that had burrowed, then played a key part in bringing life back.
By burrowing, they can mix in old soil into the new ash that's on the top of the land. That creates conditions in which plants can grow.
Donald Brown, lead scientist for Mount St. Helens, says certain plants that could survive in the nitrogen-poor area were some of the first signs of life to spring back. Then animals returned, frogs and toads in the first 3 years.
This is a red-legged frog.
And some species of salamanders 9 years after the eruption. All of this without human intervention.
When the monument was established in 1982, the goal was to not touch it as much as possible and let the natural system come back to the maximum extent possible.
Making these 110,000 acres observation only, letting nature take its course.
One of the stories of this place is that it has recovered dramatically faster than anyone guessed it would have. This was a moonscaped landscape when it started, and nobody would have guessed that it would look like this 45 years later.
But not all life has found its way back. A few salamander species and the coastal tail frog still have not returned, and scientists don't know if or when they will. With a slowdown of new species returning, the focus has now shifted to watching and waiting as the forest returns to its former density, something that will take time.
At this point in time, we're seeing the forest come back in. That's what we're watching. That's not what it was 30 years ago, 40 years ago, even 20 years ago, right? But now that's what we're watching, is the forest reestablished finally.
King 5's coverage with meteorologist Jeff Renner in 2010 shows the beginning of that process.
But King 5 environmental specialist Gary Chittum shows there's been a remarkable resurgence of life.
Moss covered, new grasses, new trees, all forming a new forest.
And now, 15 years after that, there's still a long way to go. Because this disaster is unprecedented, they don't know how long it will take. Brown is studying this timeline, trying to project potential timing.
Best guess today, 60 years. 60 years, I think we're going to see a mature coniferous forest right here.
On this day when we visited, we ran into this group of students.
It started to get a little bit unstable with all those earthquakes happening at the same time.
Some of the 4,000 that attend Mount St. Helens Institute camps every year. A generation who wasn't alive in 1980, and their parents likely weren't either. They're learning from this evolution.
We speak a lot about a large disturbance happening, but then how the landscape and the ecology is really resilient, and that lessons of resilience is a really important takeaway for our school groups.
Carrying all that magma.
The idea is to make sure the next generation understands the destructive force of the volcano and the lifetime it's taking to bring the environment back.
We are truly starting from zero. Barely any nutrients to be found anywhere, starting from nothing, turning into this.
For Environment Northwest, I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti.
That does it for us here on Weather Out West on this Thursday. We thank you so much for being with us today, and we hope you'll join us again tomorrow for our next Weather Out West.